Welcome to Picks with the Professor, sponsored by Wager Lab, the show where a real statistics professor and his friends give you sports betting tips. I'm your host, Professor Sides. It's my actual job title and last name, which is part of the reason why the mathematical model that I have built to predict various sports outcomes is affectionately known as Sideline. More about the model during the course of this episode, set to cover, 7-ish of the best college basketball games. I don't even remember how many we're doing. Definitely one off-the-wall game scheduled to be played on Thursday, March 9th, 2023. Reminder, this is the last episode that we will be able to release the night before games, as all of the Friday games will not be determined until sometime throughout the day on Thursday. So for Friday and Saturday's episode, those will be released in the morning. In case you're new here, check out the webpage on the banner. It's www.pickswiththeprofessor.com/new for some explanations and community rules. See the Google Sheet link in the show description for Sideline's projection on every single game. Remember, this show covers picks on the best games, so the best picks on all games. Sign up on Patreon or Black Book Sports or different packages of price ranges based off what you are looking for. Remember that sports are unpredictable, so the discussion on this show projects a typical game. It does not try to forecast it to a T. It does not try to figure out when a team's going to blow a lead in the last minute, which is apparently an epidemic. So that's kind of been, the fun lately is you just never know when something like that's going to happen. It does balance out in the long run. We will get some of that back where we have a game that we have no business winning and they come back in the last minute and win, but you just never know when that stuff's going to happen. In other words, please understand that good and bad variance will occur. So as much as I'd like to see we'll be profitable every single day, that is an impossible reality for any gambler. Cousin Jared, welcome back. It's always good to have you back on, every week that you can make it. You can grace us with your presence.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and the most exciting time of college basketball season for sure. But I do have to ask, and I don't want to be like Roger Clemens once said and be misremembering, but did we go 7-0 last time that I was on the show?
That is correct. That is correct. It did happen.
That's pretty impressive. And so I don't want to make this too easy. So for the sake of not making this easy, I just haven't looked at anything. So you know what, Professor, I want you to try to sell me on some of these picks that you're about to make. And I can just tell you whether or not it passes the smell test. Because again, we don't want to make this too easy and go 7-0 every week.
I have no words. We'll see how this goes. If nothing else, it should be fun. A lot of great games on the slate today and a lot of great games on Thursday that are still TBD that we haven't figured out the exact matchups yet. So it should be a great day of college basketball games all day long. We're going to cover a lot of day games, a lot of late afternoon games, early evening games. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff here. So it should be a great slate. But before we get to it, some reminders. Please hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Also, if you aren't yet, please consider subscribing or following. It's free. And if you turn on notifications, you'll miss any of the college basketball, MLB, or college football content that this channel provides. I already mentioned the Patreon, but check it out if you haven't yet. A lot of great benefits we found over there above and beyond what we do here. $3 per month gets you to play of the day, sometimes plays of the day, depending on how many games there are. For another $2 a month, you get all the model picks, all those A-grade picks, and access to the Discord chat group, which is the place to get questions answered about these games, other sports from me, Cousin Jared, Jake, or other sports bettors. We have a great community over there on Discord. It's a lot of fun. Go to www.patreon.com/pickswiththeprofessor for more details. But even if you're not there, still thrilled to have you here. Also, join us on Wager Lab. Wager Lab is a free mobile app that lets you predict, tally, and settle bets from anywhere. You can use it to keep friends honest if you're making side wagers, then settle up off the app. No money is exchanged in the app. That's what makes it completely free and legal in all 50 states. You can also bet against the house for fun with points that they allow to practice or test new strategies. And that's more or less what we are doing in our free March Madness pool. We make wagers with these points. Starting now, you can start earning points now through the end of the tournament. Should be a lot of fun, a lot of bragging rights there. See if you can, come up with more points than I can accumulate. I think everybody gets 500 points. It's like 500 fake dollars. You can put however many dollars you want on spreads, on money lines, on totals. I think they got props. They got all sorts of fun stuff over there. Prices for the top three finishers: $50 gift card for first place, $20 for second place, and $10 for a third. So it's free. You might as well go and if nothing else, see if you can do better than I am. Cousin Jared, have you signed up yet? I know Jake signed up. Have you signed up yet?
I have not signed up yet, and I can promise you I'm going to lose. I don't do well with brackets. So.
It's not a bracket. It's not a bracket. It's just picks.
Again, I will probably lose if it's college basketball. If this were a college football thing, come talk to me. But I will gladly sign up and let everybody have the immense joy of
the bragging rights
head to head.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to it. But as always, take what you like and leave the rest. Just off noon Eastern, Rutgers versus Michigan. I'm going to be on Michigan here, minus 142. This is mainly just a play about how Rutgers has been so terrible as of late. A couple key injuries there. They just haven't been the same team as they were earlier. In the last month, Rutgers has been underperforming their model projections by about 7 points a game. Michigan's been over-projecting by 5.3. So the model says that this is not really an edge much one way or other. It says that Michigan wins this 57% of the time, says the correct price should be minus 134. So the model doesn't really love this play, but given how bad Rutgers has been, I think Michigan is the side to be on here. They need this game in order to probably a win in their end of the tournament, I guess. You never really know on these things, but a win definitely really helps their case. Making it, I think Michigan's the right side here. The current spread's 2.5. Model says 2.5. But again, if you consider how these teams have played as of late, it might should be a little higher than that, maybe in the 3.5, 4 range. I just think Michigan's the right side here. Total is 132.5. Sorry, I looked at that wrong. I thought this was 132.5. Model says 131.4. So the model says the total's priced pretty accurately. So just going to focus here on Michigan. I do want to point out the model has Michigan ranked 44th and Rutgers 57th. That's based off current lineups with the injuries. Rutgers obviously in the tournament as of now, but given their current who's on the court, I don't think they're a tournament team right now. That doesn't take away what they've done. They do deserve to make it, but not being fully healthy, this Rutgers team, I don't think is as good as most of the at-large teams that they're going to be playing. I don't think they're as good as this Michigan team that's on the bubble. Thankfully for them, they were healthier earlier in the season and got a bunch of good wins. But right now, this Michigan team just a shell of themselves. Because Jared, did I sell you on Michigan, I guess?
You did sell me on Michigan, but again, that is mostly because of how poorly that Rutgers has been playing lately. You talk about Michigan, depending on where you look, last 4 in, first 4 out, like you said, squarely on the bubble. Michigan needs this game. When I've been on the show previously, we'd be like, oh, I love this play, like this play, not so sure. This one is squarely, I like it. I know that I shouldn't, I'm probably not putting enough weight on how Rutgers has played recently, although it's been bad. I just can't forget, some of those high points that we saw early in conference play. Because if I just kind of only looked at the past 4 weeks, should be I love Michigan in this spot. But I'm just going to go with I like it just because I still have some of those pictures of what Rutgers was doing early in conference play. But I do think that Michigan is definitely the right side to be on here.
And kind of related to that, right? We always do want to remain price sensitive, right? It doesn't matter if the season's ending because we're going to roll right into baseball season where we're going to be doing a bunch of money line picks too. So we have to be price sensitive, and that's part of it here. Minus 142. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I think Michigan's the right side at this number. I don't love it because it is the break even threshold is a little bit higher than I'd want it to be, given that Michigan is. They're 17 and 14. I mean, they're not a great team themselves, right? And so it's one of those where, minus 130, minus 120. If you're able to get a price of that on Michigan, it's a lot more exciting than this minus 142. And if it gets even, much higher than this, it becomes really just a pass because at some point, there is a point where you have to say the price is too high. And whether you're doing money line or point spread, it's kind of the same thing. If you're doing point spread, the same thing. If you're laying 3.5, whatever, at some point, it's just too many points. At some point, the money line price is too high. And I'm kind of like you. I think minus 142, decent play, but it's a little too high for me to really love the play.
Yeah.
12:30 Eastern, Iowa State and Baylor. I don't know. I don't want to sell you on this one. So I'm a Baylor alum, Baylor fan. Model's got an A-grade pick here on Iowa State plus 160. It says that Baylor should be favored by 2 points. That this correct price should be Baylor minus 121, that they win 55% of the time, and that anything plus 148 or better on Iowa State is an A grade. So plus 150, plus 155, plus 160 is an A grade on the Cyclones. Iowa State, I don't remember how many games I was looking through the other day. I think it was at least 3, lost 3 home games here in the last month, 3 home games to not Kansas and not Baylor. I mean, it was some bad, some of the mediocre teams in the Big 12, which are still good, right? But they were just such a dominant force early on. They lost Caleb Grill to injury, started fluttering. He comes back, and they are apparently just as terrible. And then they kick him off the team, and then they go crush Baylor. I don't know. That was a B-grade pick on Saturday on Iowa State. It didn't quite make it to an A. It was at an A, depending. So, pitching why you should sign up on Patreon. It will tell you what number the model needs for an A-grade pick. And depending on when you looked and shopped around, you could have got Iowa State an A-grade play. It was massive plus odds. It would have been a great play on the Cyclones on Saturday. Langston Love still questionable for Baylor. That's a big part. I mean, he's a really, really good player. And so that matters for Baylor. That's factor. He's 50-50 in the model because I don't know what percentage to give him. So I'm cutting his minutes in half that I would, have him in the model. And so that's part of this. If he's fully healthy and playing, then Baylor should be favored by a little bit more than the model says. But knowing he might not play, model loves taking a chance on the dog here at plus 160 on Iowa State. I don't know. They hadn't looked good. Baylor peaked at the wrong time. There was a stretch of the season where Baylor looked fantastic. And as of late, that they looked great in the first half against Kansas and then fell apart. They looked great in the first half of Kansas State, then fell apart. And then they came back. I remember who they played after that and did play a good game after that, but then they didn't look good against Iowa State. They're at home here over the weekend. So they've been up and down. Iowa State's been mostly down until then. I think maybe the bottom line here is that it's about the plus 160 and saying, I don't really know what's going to happen in this game. So take a chance on the dog. Cousin Jared, hopefully I didn't sell you on that one because I don't want Iowa State to win, but my loyalty is to my money and not my school. That's just the way it is. I don't have a heart,
Oh no, I'm completely sold on this game. If you would have not looking at the lines, I would have thought that, Baylor minus 135, maybe what I would have expected, something along those lines. Anything like plus 145, definitely plus 150. I would have said be all over Iowa State. Plus 160, I just can't believe that it's that high. This seems like a miss. This is one of those things where could look completely wrong at the end of the day, backing Iowa State in this one. Baylor could, get things together a little bit, and Iowa State could kind of regress to how they played for a lot of the second half of conference play. And this looks real dumb. But I just think plus 160 is too much value to pass on, especially based on what we saw this past weekend.
Yeah, and it's like we always talk about here. And again, I'm just kind of preaching some of the same things we're going to preach come baseball season, right? We think about these games coming from a distribution of all possible games. Imagine if they played 100 times, 1,000 times. They only play one, but you never know which one you're going to get. Are you going to get one that looks like the normal time or one that looks like where one team hits, one team doesn't, whatever? There are a lot of possibilities in this distribution. Like I said, Iowa State just doesn't show up, and they've really struggled at times this year. But there's times that Baylor has as well, and there's times that Iowa State's look pretty good. And if you get a good Iowa State team, they got a shot to win this game pretty easily. Yeah. So I'm like you. It's like the plus 160 is just too good to pass up here. I would not. It's Iowa State or pass, I guess is the point. I would not be laying points or odds with Baylor at this point, especially something like a minus 190, which is what I'm seeing right now, or laying 5 points or something with Baylor. That would not be the way I would go. If you want to play a little safer, take the points, you can. The trade-off between the points and the money line is you're going to win more with the points, but you're going to get less of a payout, and you're going to lose more every time when those do lose versus the payout of the money line. So whichever one you want, you want to split your wager, whatever, but Iowa State, got a lot of value here, unfortunately, against my Baylor Bears. 1 p.m. Eastern, Mississippi State versus Florida. Going to lay the minus 152 Mississippi State. I love this one. A-grade pick from the model. And as opposed to the last A-grade pick where I was like reluctantly, I'm going to trust the math. This one, I just love Mississippi State. Florida's looked like trash since Castleton's gone out. And I don't know, the model is really trying to pick up how much Castleton was worth. And his value just gets bigger and bigger every game, I think, that Florida plays because they just look so lost without him. And I've loved this Mississippi State team for a while now. I've been backing them, thinking they're really undervalued. They're not great, but they're not that bad. I've got Mississippi State ranked as the 38th best team in the country, 8th best defense. And to me, that's the bottom line. They're a pretty solid team. And this Florida team, I've got them without Castleton down to 70th. I think they're really overmatched here. The model says that Mississippi State wins this game 66% of the time, says the correct price should be minus 191, and anything better than minus 154 is an A-grade. So it barely ekes in an A-grade play, but I'd even lay minus 160, something like that as an A-grade in my opinion. I think Mississippi State's the right side here. I don't mind laying a little bit of odds on this. You never know how the end of the game's going to go. So if you want to lay the points, you can. Right now they're 3.5 point favorites. I'd rather lay 3 personally than 3.5. Model says 2.5 for an A-grade play. And that kind of makes sense because you don't really want to push on a day like Thursday with all the games out there. You want to make sure you're winning. So on a lighter slate, I don't mind pushing. On a deeper slate, I don't want to push. I want that win. So model says 2.5 for an A-grade play, but I just think 6 to the money line on this one. I don't know how the end goes. I just think it's really hard to see Mississippi State losing this. Our break-even point for this wager is about 60%. Again, model says 66. Total on this one's 130.5. Model says 129. So the model would look under. Both these teams have been going over as of late. Florida because their defense has regressed. Mississippi State, a little bit more tempo based, so I don't think I'd be touching the total in this one. Just going to focus on the Bulldogs. Cousin Jared, what do you think?
I love this play as well, and this is coming from someone who watches more SEC basketball.
I was going to say, this is your neck of the woods.
Yeah. I love this play. Florida, like there are certain teams that go into the conference tournament where you're saying, hey, we have a chance to play our way in. We got to win a few games, that kind of thing. For Florida, this is like one of those things where what kind of season has this been? This is not what the expectations are for Florida basketball. And so their season's not over. They can do something crazy in the tournament, in the conference tournament, and they can make it. But for all intents and purposes, this is kind of like, hey, we just want this to end. This has not been the season that we were expecting. So that combined with Mississippi State, who's not necessarily on the bubble, they're going to be in the tournament, but getting a couple wins here could definitely improve their seeding in the NCAA tournament. So I think you got one team who doesn't have much incentive at all, and another team who has plenty of incentive to try to go out and win a few games. So I love Mississippi State in this spot. I just don't think this is the season for Florida.
And a confidence booster for Mississippi State too, right? Get a couple wins against solid teams, win a few games, and that helps you, of course. For Florida, that Castleton injury just really derailed their season. They were looking competent there. They were kind of starting to find their style and move in the right direction. And I think had he not got hurt, there's a chance they play themselves into the tournament. Absolutely. And it's just completely spiraled since that injury. And it's just like a tale of two seasons almost. Mississippi State had that little downturn in the middle of the season, and they've really picked it up and looked a whole lot better as of late, whereas Florida's going the other direction. So Mississippi State to play here. This one's one jump on early because I cannot see anybody putting money on Florida on this one. This number seems like it has to go up, right? It has to get bigger, or else people are, I don't know what they're seeing. I
don't know what they've been watching if they put money on Florida.
Right, exactly. Like at some point there's a price I would back Florida, but it's not plus 130 or whatever, or plus 140. It's plus 250 or 300 or something crazy like that. But it's not, this number is not the exciting number for Florida. 1:30 Eastern, little action here. Ohio and Ball State. We got to pick them here. Going to lay the minus 110 with Ohio. Another A-grade pick. Model says this should be Ohio -3, that they win this 59% of the time. Says the correct price should be minus 147. Anything minus 119 or better is an A-grade play. If you're laying the points, says anything -1 or better is an A-grade play. So that kind of aligns with this minus 110. Ohio State, I think, is the side here. I've got them about 30. I've got them 32 spots ahead of Ball State in my rankings. I've got them 124. Ball State 156. Both teams have good offenses. Both teams have terrible defenses. Both teams play at an average pace. So it's a pretty kind of like similar story there, except I've got Ohio's offense about 30 spots better and their defense about 30 spots better. So I just think Ohio's the better team. And when you look at how they performed in the last month, Ball State's been a tiny bit better than their projections, but Ohio's been about 5 points per game better than those projections. So I think Ohio can get the winner here. Don't have to think too hard about it. At minus 110, there's no covering a number. There's no math on the odds or anything. It's just kind of your normal standard bet. With regards to total, that's 152.5, and model says 153.8. Both teams have been going over as of late, and the model says over. So a lot of unders here in conference tournament season, but this is one game I would go over in, mainly because, again, the offenses are pretty good and the defenses are pretty bad. But I think Ohio here is the smart play, A-grade play according to the model. Cousin Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, anytime you've got Curtis Rourke at quarterback, you got to go over in an Ohio game, is what I would say.
It's a shame it's not a Tuesday night, right?
Yeah. I was about to say Maction, and I would love to make a joke of like, do we really want to lay points in a Maction game? But unfortunately, you picked a pick 'em, so I can't even say that. I have nothing to say about this game. There's only so much college basketball one can watch.
I figured as much, and because we've talked about this a little bit off air, you come on once a week here on Wednesdays, and we talk about the Thursday games. And the Thursday schools, a lot of them, it's the same ones. There's a lot of Pac-12 games. There's a lot of the Big West games.
It gives me a focus.
Yes, some of the Big Ten. So we kind of talk about some of the same teams you watch the SEC. And then I was like, now that we're in conference tournament season, now we're really putting you to it because we're talking about games that you haven't focused on as much. You just haven't watched as much. I was wondering if this would be one of them. So A-grade play according to the model. Cousin Jared says these are two teams that are going to play basketball, right?
Yeah, but don't worry, we're going to come back with a good game at the end to make up for that one.
There you go. All right, 2:30 Eastern. Providence at UConn. Get like the big number with UConn here, minus 300. If you're looking at the spread, same concept. Both of these are A-grade plays, whether it's points or money line. Model says they win 82% of the time. Anything minus 330 or better is an A-grade play that the correct price should be minus 450. With regards to the spread, they are a 7-point favorite. Model says 7 is an A-grade. It says they win on average by 9 points. for the season, both these teams have been pretty good, but UConn's going the right direction. Providence is going the wrong direction. I don't know what that was that Providence did on Saturday. It wasn't play basketball, though. UConn, though, talked about them. They were so good at the start, really concerned as of late. I've been back on them here at the end of the season after that middle swoon. They're starting to look again really good. I've got them up to the 3rd best team in the country. Now, part of that is they hopped UCLA because UCLA's rating has dropped now that Jalen Clark is out for the moment. With UCLA fully healthy, I have UConn as the 4th best team. That's still pretty dang good considering the middle part of the season there. UConn was really struggling, but I think they found it now. I think they win this game. I don't mind laying odds here. Remember, people, when you're talking about money line parlays, if you're doing stuff like that, if it's a good play by itself, it's okay to put it in a parlay. If it's a bad play by itself, don't put it in a parlay. Don't just put favorites in moneyline parlays. Find the favorites that have value. This is one of them. If you like moneyline parlays, this is one of the teams I'd be putting in. Don't put the same team in every moneyline parlay, though. That's just a good rule of thumb because then you have too much risk on one game. If one upset happens, you lose all your bets. It's not smart. But if you're going to make a moneyline parlay, UConn's a great team to add to it if you're trying to manage your budget, your bank sheet there. It's hard to see UConn losing this game. If you want to lay the 7, I think that's fine too. It's a good number to lay. I'm all over UConn here. They played well. Providence hasn't. I mean, it's really that simple. Total 145. Model says 144.2. Providence has been going over as of late because their defense has been so bad. I'm not touching the total. I'm just focusing on UConn here. Another A grade play according to the model. Cousin Jared, what do you think?
I love UConn here. Before we came on the air, I said this would have to be like minus 450 for me to not back UConn, not knowing that was where Sideline put it. But yeah, it would have to be a number a lot higher than this for me to not back UConn. I think that they've kind of regained some of their mojo and they're playing better as of late. But man, yeah, for me, this is all about Providence and just kind of falling apart down the stretch. It's really difficult to watch this team and think that they were ranked number 17 or whatever it was in mid-January. Yeah. They have just really taken a turn for the worse. So this is one of those teams where I don't like their chances of turning around in the conference tournament, especially starting off with UConn. Like this.
Yeah, what a terrible draw, right? If you're trying to get things going, this is not the matchup that you wanted. The Big East is just loaded. It's not that I would have wanted to play Creighton or Marquette or these other teams either. Really, it's, such a loaded conference. But yeah, tough draw for Providence. I've got them ranked 41st, so not just quite a fall from grace from where they were at one point. To the evening games here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Penn State and Illinois. Sideline loves Illinois. Minus 140. Not an A grade play, only a C grade play, but I think Illinois is the right side here. I'm just not a fan of this Penn State team. They're very jump shot reliant. They do have a really good offense. I've got them ranked 18th offensively, but I got Illinois at 20th defensively, so it's a strength on strength. The other side of the ball, though, I've got Illinois ranked 58th and Penn State 117th on defense. So that's where Illinois is going to have a huge edge. Like the minus 140 here, model says it should be minus 141, so tiniest bit of value according to the model. Illinois has been kind of up and down as of late with some injuries. I think they're mostly healthy with one exception. That is that Epps is still questionable. He's listed as 50-50. That swings this, number for Illinois probably about a point either way. If he plays, it probably bumps them up a point. If he doesn't play, probably drops them a point. Model says right now Illinois minus 2.7. I'm seeing they're a 3-point favorite. So again, with the spread, not a huge edge according to the model, but I'm just, again, not a fan of this Penn State team. I think Illinois can win. I've got them ranked 23rd, and I've got Penn State 45th. I mean, the 23rd best team should beat the 45th best team, right? Don't want to pay too big of a price, but I think minus 140 is acceptable. It's not one I love. I'd rather lay minus 130, minus 120. It's not drastically different than I think the Rutgers Michigan we talked about at the top, but I think Illinois is the right side here, and that's the side that I want to back. Total on this one is 141.5. Model says 141.7. Both teams have been going over as of late. So if I was going to do something, I'd go over, but not my favorite play either. Cousin Jared, what do you think?
So Penn State's 5-1 straight up in their last 6 games. Before that, they had lost 4 straight. But as they're going 5-1 straight up in that time frame, they had a 1-point win at Maryland. They had a 3-point win in overtime against Northwestern. They had a 4-point win at Ohio State, which we all know how Ohio State has been playing as of recent. And so, obviously the most impressive win during that stretch was a 12-point win at Illinois, but that game was, a 12-point win against Illinois, but that game was at Penn State. This is one of those where I'm glad that Sideline is seeing what I'm seeing here, and that it's just a C grade, because like this number, it's like, I don't know what I would set it. Maybe I would set it, me personally, like Illinois minus 150, something like that. I don't think I'll make it too much higher, but man, I'm telling you, Illinois just feels like the right side here. I don't have a lot of faith in Penn State, even knowing that, just partly because a lot of their wins recently have just been close games that really could have gone either way at the end of the game. So I think that record there at the end of the year is a little bit misleading.
Yeah, and of note in that matchup, a little under a month ago that Illinois played Penn State, both teams shot the same number of threes. Penn State made 12, Illinois made 7. That's 15 points right there. If you take that away, Illinois has a nice 3-point road win. That's what we always talk about, the three ball. You can give one team a little bit better of an edge than the other based off of season numbers, but they shouldn't shoot on an average game. That's what we're talking about distribution. The average game, they're going to shoot pretty close to their average. That's what we're projecting here. You never know when one team's going to make 5 more threes than the other. That sort of thing can go either direction. It's pretty random when one team gets hot or not from 3. You have to think that Illinois, seeing the game tape, knowing how that played out, is going to try to do a better job defending the 3 and prevent them from making 43% or whatever from 3 that they did. And that would be the difference in the game. If they could hold Penn State to not, making almost half their threes, then they should be able to win. So I'm like you, though, don't want to lay too high of a price, because if Penn State gets hot from 3, they can as a big jump shooting team, then it's gonna be a tough one. So yeah, definitely, I'm like you, like lean, that sort of thing. It's not one of my favorite plays at this number. Again, just like we talked about at the top, -130, -120 better, but -140 probably still an okay investment if you're looking to get some action on this one. 7 p.m. Eastern, Arkansas and Auburn. Going to grab Arkansas at even money here. Model says this is a coin toss game, so no real value in either direction. It says 50-50, literally 50% to 50%. For this one, says that the average score is Auburn 70.3 to Arkansas 70.2. The model really likes Auburn, has them ranked 20th right now. I don't know many people who think Auburn's the 20th best team in the country. I don't know. I don't know why the model loves Auburn so much. I feel like every time I back Auburn, they lose. I know that's wrong. They've only lost 11 times, but I'm pretty sure I picked them all 11 times that they've lost. And I probably picked them 11 more times that they won and didn't cover. I feel like Auburn just always lets me down. So we're going to be in Arkansas here. They've been playing better recently relative to the expectations, at least compared to Auburn, who's been a little bit disappointing. It should be a great game. You've got 2 decent offenses and 2 great defenses, 2 top 20 defenses. The under would be appealing. It's 145. Model says 140.6. You have great defenses. But I'm not going to be playing the under, mainly because Arkansas's pace can get really fast, really out of hand. And both teams have been playing really over in the last month. Arkansas have been upping that pace again, playing better on offense. Auburn's defense has started to really let them down a little bit. So that's kind of why I'm on Arkansas. But again, the model would say under, but I'm just a little bit nervous with how many points these teams have been having in their games, both scoring and allowed. So I'm passing on the total. I'm going to focus on Arkansas even money. Cousin Jared, back to your neck of the woods in the SEC. So you've got a little bit of background knowledge of what you've seen of these teams. What do you have?
I love Arkansas in this game. I'm not a fan of Auburn basketball this season. I just don't think they have it. You go look at their resume, it's not that great. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised that when they get in the tournament, because I think they probably will get into the tournament, even if they lose this game. I think people are going to be surprised with how low their seed is. The resume is just not that great. They don't have many good wins. I just don't think that Auburn is that great of a team. On the other side, Arkansas is just one of those teams that, as an A&M basketball fan, I do not look forward to playing Arkansas. Every single year, I do not look forward to playing Arkansas. It's not a pleasant experience. Like you said, they play that good defense, but it's combined with the pace that they play at that just makes it very uncomfortable. And part of that, it's usually a clash of styles with A&M. That's not how A&M wants to play, getting up and down the court. So I just really like Arkansas. I respect what they do there, and I just don't really like Auburn this season that much at all. So I think Arkansas is going to win this game. And based on where they're potentially going to be seated in the NCAA tournament, Arkansas, if I'm playing like in an 8-9 matchup and Arkansas is the 9 seed, I do not want Arkansas as a 9 seed is what I would say. So I love Arkansas here. I think they're a much better team than Auburn. When you told me you had them ranked Auburn ranked 20th, I could not believe that.
I think you laughed in my face, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would put Auburn like 10th in the SEC. So the fact that they're 20 overall. Anyway,
I think 10th's probably a little low, to be fair.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, I like Arkansas.
Yeah, the first time these two teams played, only matchup of the year, Arkansas lost by 13, but they went 2 of 16 from 3. So, I mean, it's like we talk about. You just never know when that's going to happen. You don't want to use that. Had Arkansas shot 35% from three and lost by 13, then you're going, okay, I'm a little bit concerned, right? But that's one thing that just determined the game there. And, if you're going to shoot 2 of 16 from three, you're not going to win very many games unless you're playing just a truly terrible opponent that you can just turn over left and right. So not really meaningful. Auburn did have a great win in their last game against Tennessee, but Tennessee, just a massively up and down team with all the injuries and who knows how hard these guys are with all the injuries, trying to figure out who's TCU. We're talking about next. It's kind of the same boat. You don't really know their motivation this last month with being locked in the tournament, but being so hurt, trying to make sure that you're I don't know what to make of Tennessee or TCU with all these injuries. So that Auburn win is like, I don't know. Does that mean anything? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to hurt Jake's feelings, but he might want to talk to your dad, my uncle, about a Rick Barnes team. And he might just kind of have an understanding of what's been going on.
I think Jake's well aware of the Rick Barnes factor, as is my father, who's a University of Texas alum. But speaking of TCU, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, they're going to play Kansas State. I'm going to take Kansas State here, plus 120. I do love this TCU team, but Kansas State at plus odds is too good to pass up. It's a B+ grade according to the model. Plus 124 makes it an A grade. Sideline says this is a coin toss game, 50-50, that the correct price is TCU minus 102. Lampkin is 50-50 for TCU. And again, I just don't know. That last game of the year that TCU had against Oklahoma really has me concerned for, does this team want to win this game? We've seen many a time a team lose in the first round of the conference tournament, and that be what they need for March Madness because it helps give them more time off. They don't want to play more. I'm not saying TCU wants to lose this game, but with all the injuries that they've had, I'm just not 100% that they're going to play Lampkin. I'm not 100% how many minutes he's going to get. I just, if Kansas State gets out to a lead, I don't know how hard they're going to fight to come back. I just don't know because they've been so banged up. And Tennessee, when we get to the SEC tournament, when they play, same question, right? It's not that important to them, right? Or it shouldn't be. And you never know what a coach is going to do. You never know how the players are going to do. But I think Kansas State's going to go out there and try to win this game. They want to go win a conference title for sure. And not that TCU doesn't, but Kansas State doesn't have quite the same injury issues that TCU does. So, I mean, that's a big piece of this. So I've got this as a coin toss game. I'm going to take the Wildcats here. They've been really overperforming projections as of late. They've come on strong at the end of the season. Kind of the baby story of UConn, right? Started off great, really struggled there in the middle, but has been coming on strong as of late. So like back in the Wildcats here at plus 120. Again, model says coin toss game. Total is 146.5. Model says 145.5. Both teams have been going slightly under. I do think under would be a smart play here. Kansas State, if they do what they want to do, they're going to really limit the number of possessions either team has. I know that they rank relatively high in the pace metrics. That's because they're getting quick points off of turnovers, but in general, they don't want the other team to have the ball. And so I do think under would be a pretty smart play here. But again, plus 120 is just way too good to pass up on a Kansas State team that at least I know is healthy as opposed to the other team in purple who I don't know exactly where they are health-wise. Cousin Jared, what's your take?
I like Kansas State a lot in this spot. I'm very confused by this line. So the first time that these two teams played this season, Kansas State won by 21 points. Am I making that up? Kansas State walloped them last time. And if you look at TCU's wins, okay, they had a win against Texas. That's a good win. But if you go look at TCU's wins going back to the end of January, they beat Tech. They beat Oklahoma State. They beat West Virginia. They beat Oklahoma. Like, really, you got to go back to January 21st to see an impressive win.
That big Kansas one.
Yeah, the big Kansas.
And it was a week after that they started getting hurt. And that's been the biggest issue with TCU has been the injuries that have really derailed. And you can see that in that last month and a half.
Yeah.
Really questionable with all the injuries they've had. They just, not as good of a team.
Yeah. And so TCU, they have potential, but Kansas State overperforming their potential, but they've basically been consistently overperforming that potential for the entire season. And so I'm kind of surprised that I'm getting plus 120 on a team that, in my opinion, has been more consistent than what TCU has been.
Yep, absolutely. And again, we can explain the inconsistency on TCU. It's not that we can't explain it. It's just we don't know if that's still here, right? It's not had they actually, and it looked like they were going to get healthy, but then now they're again not healthy, right? It's one of those things where if they could actually get healthy, get rolling, maybe you start trusting. And they did play well against Kansas. They lost, but at home they played well. They played well at Tech, but then that last game, really has you a little bit concerned. Exactly. And again, injury-laden teams in conference tournament week, I'm fading them or I'm passing because you just don't know. I've seen it too many times where a team has said, we don't really want to win. We don't really want to try to play 3 games in 3 days. and wear ourselves out. We want to just get rested and practice and let the guys who are healthy practice, let the other guys rest, and then hit it in the next week. And so I feel like backing TCU doesn't mean TCU won't win. It just means I don't think backing them is the smartest investment. If you don't like Kansas State, I think you pass. But Kansas State here, again, a B+ pick, almost A grade. I think pretty good investment here at plus 120, which takes us to overtime. We've got an off-the-wall game here for you. Grand Canyon and Seattle. Going to go under 139.5. The model says 135. As of late, Seattle's been a real under team. They play pretty fast, but their defense is pretty good and their offense is terrible. Cousin Jared, why do you like this under?
Well, number one, anytime you can get in on a Grand Canyon under, you should. Just there's no feeling like looking at a Grand Canyon box score and seeing the score being like 55-50 with 1 minute left in the game, because that's possible in any game that Grand Canyon plays.
Yeah. They play at a snail's pace is more or less what you're saying.
They do. But to me, this is more about Seattle. Seattle sideline loves to play Seattle overs, especially early in the season. It just had this obsession with them, and it just was not
because
working.
the pace is there. We thought the offense would be better, but the offense has been just trash. Yes, I said it for the second time this episode. Yeah, trash.
And so this is one of those things where you got to look past the pace and just see that the efficiency is not there at all for this Seattle offense. So I think that either way this game goes, either it's grinded down, it's played real slow the way Grand Canyon wants, or it goes fast and it doesn't matter because Seattle can't score very many points anyway. So I love this under.
And they have a good defense, so even if it's faster, they still got a good chance at getting stops. Like you said, if it plays a little faster, it's still not going to get a lot of points. If it plays slower, it's not going to get a lot of points. If it plays at Grand Canyon's pace, this game's probably, like you said, like 55-50. If it plays at Seattle's pace, it's probably like 65-60, right? It's one of those, there'll be more points, but it won't be that many. Again, model says this game is in the 68-67 range. I do think first to 65 wins this one if somebody gets there. And if it played at Grand Canyon's pace, no one's getting to 65. I would not imagine. So under a pretty strong play in this one. Again, neutral courts, love those unders. We'll lean that way a little bit more here this time of year. And that's all we've got for you then. Cousin Jared, any parting words?
It's the best time of year for college basketball. Can't wait for conference tournaments and then get into the big tournament next week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode of Picks with the Professor. Don't forget to subscribe so you can enjoy all the sports betting content right on this channel, dropped right to your feed. Be back again Friday morning with college basketball betting tips on those Friday games. But until then, as always, best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.